Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and part 2 of my conversation with Andrea, an ESL teacher in Spain. In part 2, we talk about 3 strategies that you need to employ if you have 0 teaching experience and are looking for a job in the ESL world. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel to stay updated with everything that's going on in the world of EFL teaching and my life here in Brazil. Let's get to it. Your podcast is really interesting. What's it called actually?
New Teachers of English as a Foreign Language podcast.
In your podcast, you talk about, which I found really interesting actually, the 3 strategies for finding work as a new teacher. Can you just quickly go over the 3 strategies that you found have worked?
Yeah, so the 3 strategies are, the first one is about adapting your CV so that it is a key skills CV, which I can tell you a bit about as well in a moment. The other one is about finding your niche. So looking at something really particular that you can offer as a teacher that perhaps other people can't or don't offer, and then getting work that way. And the final one is networking, as we've just touched on as well.
Absolutely. And let's talk about the CV, the key skills, because I found this quite interesting that you would put the skills before your experience, because I would never have thought that before. And then I was like, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. What type of skills should a teacher be looking to put on their CV? I guess it varies depending on what teachers have done in the past.
Well, I think typical key skills to put onto your CV are the ones that are relevant to teaching and the ones that are relevant to you. So when we're talking about a key skills CV, we're talking about putting your skills ahead of the actual work experience. And this is really appropriate if, for example, you've never taught, but you have worked in other places. So the idea would be to extract the skills that you have or have shown in your other jobs that relate to teaching. So, Ollie, what would that be? For example, we'd be thinking something like communication skills, creativity skills, leadership skills, right? Organizational skills, that kind of thing. If I was looking at a CV as a recruiter or an academy director, for example, I would be interested in seeing the skills of a teacher being shown on the CV of somebody. And even if you haven't got those skills through teaching, you can prove that you're capable of doing those things through your previous experience.
And how can you demonstrate those skills? Like you've got to just say communication. Do you need to write something to back that up, or can you just leave it?
I personally would. I think that in a key skills CV, you make the core part of it the actual key skills. So you give some depth to that, not just make a list of the key skills. So what you would do is you would give an example of how you have shown that skill in the past. Okay, so basically, I'll give you my examples, much easier. As I was a training consultant previously, I would say that my previous skills included designing courses. So I gave an example of how I designed a course for 6 people in a room who needed to learn something specific. And then what that does is it shows that I can transfer that skill and I can put it in the classroom, because look, I can now design classes for 1 hour for 6 people teaching English. Yeah. So that's an example of what I would put.
That's great. I was so fascinated, and I was like, this is so cool. I was like glued to your podcast. This is great. This is great. I need to talk about this on the YouTube channel.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, to be honest, I came across it myself when I first came to Spain, because it was exactly that. I didn't have any teaching experience, and I was like, how am I going to get my CV to stand out and be looked at when everything in my UK experience is different? Exactly. So that's when I first came across it myself, and it really does work.
Now, the second thing that you talked about is the niche. And I was thinking about, it left me thinking about my niche for ages. And I was like, what is my niche? I've got no idea. How can a teacher find out their niche?
Okay, so maybe first of all, shall we explain quickly what we mean by that?
Go for it,
yeah. So basically, finding your niche is about looking for something that you can do as a teacher, you can offer, that perhaps other people around you can't do, or perhaps other people do it, but it's not such a typical market. And a good example, I think, especially here in Spain of this, is teaching exam preparation classes. Because the exams here are quite important to Spanish people. They're becoming year on year more interested in having a certificate to be able to speak English, to get a job, etc. So, but you'd be surprised how very little teachers do exam preparation classes, want to do them, understand how they work. Most people are frightened of them. They literally shy away from them, and they are like, you know, an exam preparation, woof, that sounds like a lot of hard work. It's not, by the way. So if you're ever interested, you should definitely consider it. So that would be, that in my opinion, would be a niche. The niche market is to maybe become a confident and experienced teacher of exam preparation classes. And then what you do is you'd be that person that academies or students would look to if they wanted help with that. And also you can advertise that you're available to teach that.
Absolutely. Actually, in my institute, we were 11 last year before the pandemic hit, and I'm the IELTS teacher. So I guess that's my niche, I guess.
There you go. Could well be. It could well be. So
and it's not. And you go.
So actually, your question you asked me was, what can people do to find their niche? Yeah, that was the original question. So I would say, if you're a new teacher, you're probably thinking, I really don't know. How do I even know that? And it would come back for me to the activity of looking at your strengths and finding things that you're good at. So it might even just be that when you've done your certificate during your 1 month intensive course, you've had a lot of really great feedback on a certain aspect of your teaching. And you might be able to extract that and find something in the market there that needs that. Pronunciation, for example, teaching pronunciation here in Spain, it really just doesn't happen. People are not confident teaching it. So why not go out and then learn how to teach pronunciation and be the expert in it?
Absolutely.
So you could find little things. If you look hard enough, you can find your strengths and then look to see where you could perhaps put that on your CV or sell it in a way that makes you the expert. And if you're not ready yet because you're new to teaching, don't worry about that. Go away, have a year, get some experience, and then decide, okay, now I know what I want to do, and this is where I'm going to focus my attention.
Yeah, so basically, sometimes it doesn't happen overnight. You might have to wait a year or even 2 years until you find exactly your niche. Because I know when I first started teaching English, like the first 6 months were just a blur because I was like so focused on like trying to understand the grammar. How do I, first of all, you know the grammar as an English person who speaks English. How do I need to study the grammar to know what it means and then try and teach it. So it might not happen overnight.
No, and it didn't happen for me overnight either. It took me an entire academic year for me to find my way around Madrid, get to understand how teaching worked, what people were looking for. And after a year, I realized that, you know, my business experience and my corporate and training experience in the UK would work here in Spain. And so that's when I started adapting my teaching to business English, and then offering workshops and intensive courses and things like that, specifically focusing on some topics that related to business English.
Awesome. So good. That's awesome. And I want to go on to the last point, networking. You briefly spoke about it before. And I've learned, like starting this channel, like how important networking is, because I've spoken to people in different parts of the world, which has been awesome for me. How important is networking? And how can a teacher do networking?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's so important, Ollie. For me personally, I think it's one of the things that people don't do enough of that really could do more. And I think, again, people don't always understand what it means, so they don't necessarily think about it. But really, networking is about making contacts with colleagues, people you don't know, but people you should know, people that are also teachers or teaching, or even students. It doesn't really matter who they are. It's just about making contacts and getting to know people. And I think it's so important to do that. And here in Spain, there's a really great sense of community. So you just have to find out what are some of the Facebook groups people are linked to. Here you just put in Facebook expats English teachers, and there'll be a whole list of groups to join all of them, and then soon enough you'll be meeting people, going out for drinks, getting invited to an event, whether it be an actual official event or just going out to socialize. But that's how you can start, I think, when you move to a new country. And it's certainly what I did when I came to Madrid.
And the whole video has kind of been about advice, but do you have any like last pieces of advice for new teachers or teachers that want to try and look for a job in a different country?
Well, I think job hunting, in my opinion, should be the same wherever you go. And networking is a good way to find a job as well. So, for example, the more teachers that you meet and who probably become your friends, obviously, but also those people are the ones that will give you some tips and advice yourself and help you find work. So a lot of academies here in Spain will be interested in you recommending other people. So if they're happy with you, they might say to you, do you know anybody who wants these hours? And then you get recommended. So that works in a kind of a circle, really. So you need to meet people in general, and then you can find work that way as well. And I think that once you work for an academy, I think you just have to do a good job, and then that work will be consistently offered to you.
Exactly. Go above and beyond in the first.
Yeah.
When you first start.
No, absolutely. The only other thing I'd like to say is going back to my book, hopefully you'll be able to mention it when it's out. The book is designed to talk more in depth in these things as well. So other topics that are included are about how to build good working relationships in order to maintain work over the years, how to set yourself some goals and specifically look at how you want to be as a teacher and how you can train and get more work in general.
Thank you so much for coming on and talking to new teachers or even some old teachers about how they best can go about creating a CV and what they need to do in finding a job.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been great talking about it. It's been enjoyable, Ollie. Thank you.
And don't forget, you can check out Andrea's podcast. I'll put a link to the Spotify in the chat, and we'll put a link to Andrea's LinkedIn as well, so you can stay up to date for when her book is released. Thank you so much again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.